y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. I love that you guys hang out with us here. We're here to discuss life topics to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And as you know, I try to go around the whole planet trying to find the best people on it. That way I can bring them on here to help us really transform the way we think about things. And today I found Arnaud St. Paul, and he's a philanthropist and award-winning social software, finance, and social impact entrepreneur for more than 20 years. And he's gone traveling throughout the world to study the different religions and philosophies. And his life purpose is now to open billions of hearts and help them find harmony inside and out. I love that, okay? Because, Arnaud, this is I think something that we all innately have in us, right? That we want to connect with what we're passionate about, with what our heart is saying. And most of us are too afraid to do that, right? So I'm really happy that you're here. I know you're going to drop a lot of knowledge and wisdom on us today, but why don't we start with knowing a little bit more about you so my audience knows who they're listening to.
Hi, Neena. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I believe let's see how we can help your audience to change their mind, right? And how they think about themselves and how we relate with ourselves. So, yeah, I guess my own journey started when I was 13, where I woke up spiritually and really started a journey, an obsession, I guess, about answering a question: Who am I? That led me to all these different travels and looking to understand through the books and religions and philosophies what was written on it, but more importantly, trying to contrast what was written there with my inner understanding. And that's how emerged in the past 30 years what I call the heartful method nowadays, which is really a map of conscious map, I guess, of how consciousness is having this human experience and how we can relate to ourselves from a very, very different standpoint. And one that is not directed through the mind and through the ego, but more through our heart. I'll get back to that later. And so throughout my adult life, I was working in finance and technology and really had probably an epiphany of some sort of looking to say, okay, what is my life about? And I found out that, maybe it is about, or at least that's what really moves me to help hearts blossoms to themselves, helping people to love themselves and grow and really shift their understanding from a very linear, tangible, Newton physics kind of way of living to a quantum physics kind of way of living, a place where the heart and the self has a reality and is actually your core essence, as you were saying earlier. And we have it, it's there. What if we give it a chance and, step on it? And it happens to be the fact that when we do that, magic becomes magical, and in a very pragmatic standpoint. I'm not talking about anything woo-hoo. On the contrary, it's all about how life is talking to us and how we can learn its language, and from that, letting go of what's not helping us anymore, and all of a sudden, boom, things will start to align on their own.
That's amazing.
There's no effort to be needed there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. The thought process of, aligning yourself, right? Aligning yourself with really what your heart wants or what your purpose is, right? Because most of us spend our life fighting that, right? Or fighting because we're trying to fit into a mold, right? We're trying to fit into what society and maybe our upbringing and culture has taught us, right?
Or even our own identity. I was with a client now, and she's fighting always, looking to save the others, etc., because she believes so much that she needs to save others for herself to exist, that she can only live that, and it's a lot of effort and a lot of struggle.
It's
We don't
exhausting.
need that anymore, and maybe another way, and that other way is simpler, it's easier, and it's within our reach if we want if we want to choose it, because also I can be dependent on that jolt of emotions that helps me to really
Yeah.
feel that I'm here, right?
Yeah.
And which is okay, but maybe there's another way as well. So
Right.
what would be your other way? That's the question.
Right. Right. So what was that moment for you though, right? Because you were working in finance and all of that. So what was that moment for you? Was there something that was just becoming exhausting with doing the kind of work that you were doing? Were you feeling mentally, emotionally fatigued? What was that made you say, I need to seek and do something with this?
So I started very much earlier than working
Mm-hmm.
age. Started when I was 13. So
Right.
that, I mean, I have been gifted with that gift of, at that time, all of a sudden some truths that I felt inside me were superseding whatever truth was offered to me, right?
Mm.
Mostly
Mm.
related to spiritual aspects at the time. And then when I worked in my adult years, so I went through, the socially accepted aspects
Right.
of finance and then technology, etc., until to a point where all of a sudden these business pursuits, let's so to speak, started to get less and less interesting. And more interesting was the actual purpose that I chose nowadays of my life, which is to help people be reborn to themselves. I had already that activity in parallel to my professional life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That activity started to say, okay, now I need more space, and
Right.
and nowadays. Uh, I'm able to articulate in a way that companies can understand it and accept it in their own work, as well as individuals. And the fact that this map, which is visually a map, right? It's a visual interpretation of a framework that guides us towards ourselves,
Mm.
helps me tremendously to illustrate and provide the right direction to the people who wants to really make a difference for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, in a very very pragmatic way. Only that. And
So
so
how was that traveling for you? I mean, that sounds amazing, right? So you went and I'm assuming that as you were going, you were trying all the maybe different facets or different religions that these different countries offered, right? How was that experience? Because I'm sure a lot of things bumped up to maybe against to what some of the things that you believed, right? Or maybe not. Maybe you just were open to it and was like, you know what, I'm going to be open minded and see what I can extract from this. How was that experience for you?
the the first phase is, at least in my case, was a one of understanding. So in other words, um, reading the Kabbalah or the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas to understand what were these different point of views
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the Zen Buddhism and so on, and and therefore the people as well. Same thing. Each of us have a different point of view, and they are all equanimous. They are all valued the same. And after a while, the framework that started to emerge is actually encompassing all of them,
Okay. Okay.
because the bottom line is, any individual, any religion, any dogma, um, any philosophies are all pointing to one thing only, which is love. Loving of oneself, loving of the others, etc., etc. So and we are all going towards the same direction in our journey. And so my journey, or my call, or my path, is to light up that way, and for the people that wants to hear about it and wants to journey with me, I'd be happily guiding them in that direction. But we
Right.
have that opportunity, all of us, to be in harmony with ourselves, to be coming from a state of cacophony, whether we are a company or an individual. We have all these different musical instruments that are showing up and bringing their own instruments
Right.
without any coherence. and we
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
have a state of harmony where all the instruments together go in the same direction and live the same spirit. I was discussing with an amazing business coach, and we're talking about the company's spirit, and that's exactly that. Even if you have people that are remote, they need to share the same spirit. So how can
Mm-hmm.
we foster that? It goes beyond culture. It
Right.
goes beyond just profits or the vision. It's living it. And that
Right.
living
Right.
spirit of the company or an individual, it's the same thing. To how can we increase our vibration, our
Mm-hmm.
vibrato, right, in music? How can we become that tuning fork that is has its own unique tone that nobody's in the world is has, right?
Right.
And the volume is so high that everybody comes to it afterwards, wanting to
Mm-hmm.
be part of that.
Right.
That's
Right. How you show up, right? How you're showing up in the world, how you're showing up in your business, in relationships. All of that is important,
yes.
right? So take me a little bit on that journey, right? So for those who are listening and very interested in this topic, what is that journey with you or not? Like how if they contact you, like what does that journey look like for you and your client?
So I'm slowly building what I'll call a Harmony University. And now we have the first blocks, I would say. We have what we call Who, which is a weekly session where people can come and be supported to really be more present to certain concepts like presence, like trust, faith, etc., through
Mm-hmm.
movement, through meditation, through working with me. So it's online. It happens every Sunday at 6 p.m. Europe time, 12 p.m. EST, just to give a broad stroke. And so that this is an ongoing support. Then we have cruises on the Nile, which are absolutely life changing, where during 7 days you can go and have an
Wow.
experience of harmony, whether for several individuals or for a company, same thing. And these companies that are a bit remote at the moment, to have them all together and really work on that spirit of the company.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
very important. And then we have also one-on-one coaching for the people that really want to go deeper. We also have master classes and retreats about balancing the masculine and the feminine energies in companies or individuals. So we have a bunch of different things. The whole purpose being to provide that simple path
Mm-hmm.
for a person to align with themselves faster.
Mm-hmm.
Whether some people are aligned faster through the physical, so they need movement, and so we
Right.
have the right people for that, or they go through more the mental aspect, so they will work for me with me, or more emotional, and therefore they will work with someone else, etc.
Oh wow, that's great. So there's a lot of offering of what you're doing.
And
That's what's really great. Was that?
it will grow.
And it will grow. Yeah. So I love also that you're touching on companies, right? Because I feel that companies need to catch up. They need to catch up. I think the pandemic has woken that up a little
Yeah.
bit. Like it's you're in Europe, right? You're in Europe.
At the
Yeah.
moment I am, but I'm usually
Yeah.
between LA and Paris.
Oh, okay. So then, here in the States, there's been this thing where people we're calling it, I think, the Great Resignation or whatever it's called, right?
Yes.
So people are kind of just leaving. And a lot of people are starting their own thing. A lot of people are seeking different things, whether it's coaching and things like that. And I think it's missing in companies. So it's good that you're doing this, because I do have a lot of thought leaders and stuff that are listen to this show. And I think this may be ringing their ear a little bit, that maybe it's time to pour into your employees, to pour into your people in a different way, right? Instead of just like the list of demands, maybe it's also, bringing them into the spirit of the company and what it is you're really trying to do. Because there's great companies out there, they
Mhm.
really are trying to impact people in a great way. They really are, or provide a
Completely.
service or product, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you have just targets or a checklist, there's a difference in that, as opposed to taking that person onto the journey of what you're trying to do spiritually in the entire business, right?
Yes, and I will expand on that. The So if we look at one company, right, and if we look at the different phases through which it can go. So the basic is, take care of profits. Here are the goals. Do that, right? So
Right,
super simple, super basic, but there is no really a me wanting to stay at the company at all because it's, I can be replaced anytime. It's just about
right.
numbers and that's it. Then we have other companies. The same company could be more taking care of their employees, like having HR, etc. Great, a bit better. Then we have the same company that could have culture, right? Fostering culture, etc. So, and maybe having a social impact along the line as well. And then we have companies that are about fostering their own spirit. So they have a
Mhm.
heart vision and they care about the community, not necessarily the community they serve, but their own community,
Right.
which goes beyond culture.
Hmm,
It is,
hmm.
it is all about the actual spirit or consciousness of that company that is looking to grow.
That's good.
And for that to happen, the heart of all the individuals in it wants to be part of that too, right? And
Hmm, hmm.
that's when things start to become magical. I have
Right.
an example of a CEO I'm helping after 3 years, and we continue working together. And he had so his company was not able to sign contracts at a nine-figure level. Tried everything, it was not working at all. And we had worked with his teams first, but it was still not working. And when we started working on that issue with the CEO, we saw that he was looking to control everything, not necessarily, on a day-to-day micromanagement and all that. If not that, within him, he needed to make sure that everything was under control because if not, if it explodes, what happens, right? And
Right. Right.
chaos that represents growth,
That
it
happens a lot. Hmm.
can be creating fear. And so we unlocked that. In other words, we disconnected him from his company so that the company can grow on its own. And the next week, he was signing a nine figure.
Wow.
So we have that in our hands. And that's when, beyond the impact, beyond the culture, we can really make a difference for the individual that are working with us, for the community
Right.
we're working with,
Right.
and for ourselves.
Right. That's really powerful, Arnaud, because I know a lot of big CEOs, and I work with a few of them. I work with a lot of them actually. But what I love is that is so wow. That just like my brain was just psh, right, because it is very hard, Arnaud, to disconnect someone from their business, right? Because it's their baby, it's what they're looking to, grow. It's what they're looking to control, like you said, and it's super hard. I'm sure you've bumped into some walls. It is super hard to tell them, wait, let's disconnect you for a second. You may be the one holding it back a little bit, right? Not that they're the problem, because they're not. They've gotten the company to where it needs to be. But sometimes they are the ones that are causing the glass ceiling, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't see past that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really powerful and a great case study for you too, right? Because it really shows it that CEO that it is okay. They're not going to not
Of
be,
course.
not be important to the company just because they had to step back for a second. And I think that that's one of the things I'm sure that you probably deal with is a lot of that internal fear, right?
It's these limits that we're putting ourselves
Yeah.
in are always coming from places where, for a whatever the reason, right, at the time, we had to make sure that everything was in order or needed to be perfect, and so totally unrelated from the business per se.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, we continue carrying that lock,
Yeah.
and it affected the business.
That is
We
so true.
can let go of that lock, and all of a sudden, everything flows. But
Right.
we have to know where the lock is and how to unlock it, and
Yeah.
then off we go. And it is possible without a
Yeah.
problem, as long as the person is obviously ready to make it happen.
Right. I mean, and I think that that's why what you're doing is really important to Arnaud, because a lot of us can't see past ourselves, right? We can't see
Mhm.
past that. And unlocking things is why you need a coach, is why you need someone there who you trust and supports you, right? That's why this CEO that you used as an example is with you for so long, because once they trust you and they see that you have their best interest, right? And that's what most of us want to do, right? Or not, like as coaches. I mean, we want to be there for you to help you through those transitioning moments. And I love that you're using like this heart center approach to do it, because it is usually those are the things, the emotional things are the hangups usually for us. It's
Yeah.
not the intelligence level. It's not usually the fact that, I mean, they probably know all the finances they need to know. They know all the HR they need to know. They know all of that. It's usually that internal, like you said, that internal dialogue and that stuff that I call it outdated. Stuff that we believed from way before that is now outdated, but we still try to, it's like trying to use an old computer that cannot use the new Windows anymore. So that's really fantastic. So let's say a CEO, because I have a lot of them that listen to the show, is listening and they want to reach out to you. So I'm assuming that you have like a process, and you said also that there's different people on your team that will like work on different things, right? Emotional, all those different levels, right?
Yes, yes.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
So tell me. No, I was gonna say. So tell me a little bit about that. So because I'm gonna have you tell us like how we can all like reach you, right? So how people can reach you, work with you. I'm assuming because you live and you travel, that this is virtual, right? As well.
Yeah.
And is there a size company that you work with? Does it matter to you what size? Like that, those kind of questions.
Okay, so no, the size does not matter at all. I mean, obviously, if you come to a cruise and you want to bring in 100 people, then I have a problem.
Right.
Uh, but then we can not do a cruise and have a conference and tackle a few hundred people without a problem. Uh, the age does not matter either. What
Awesome.
matters is having the availability and the willingness to
Mm-hmm.
really rewire oneself, because that's
Mm-hmm.
where it starts, right? So we have different tools for different type of expectations and people. The overall scope is that heartful method that I created in the past 30 years. And for the people that really want to go as deep as they can, I can work with them directly, or in a masterclass context, where we go through the 9 sessions of content, where we really start from the very, very bottom of what
Mm-hmm.
it means to be I, uh, uh,
Wow.
and then we start building up again the new building blocks, so to speak, so that we have a new understanding of how reality works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the premise that is scientific based, and it also happens to be spread out across all the different major books in the world, is that this reality is made of vibration. So if that is so, which is a premise on which is my experience and the ones of the CEOs I've helped so far, if that's the case, then everything changes all of a sudden. There is a lot
Right.
of different consequences of that premise that makes life much, much easier,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and opening up new potentials where we can thrive a lot more. So it's really untapping potentials that were not there before. So this is obviously something that does not happen overnight,
Right.
but in a few months, in 90 days, I can help a person shift. And I think, and
Wow.
it works 100% of the time,
Right. Oh,
because
I love
we are
that.
using the person's life as the template to make the transformation happen. In other words, I'm not here to take a topic. So look at your company, take a topic and say, hey, you need to let go of control, to take the example we were talking about. It's the life of the person that tells me this and that events are happening. Therefore, this seems to be the topic that is at hand now.
Mm,
Let's let go of it.
I
And
love that.
then the magic happens.
Hmm. I
That's the
love it.
huge difference with anything you may find elsewhere.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it tells people. First of all, I love that you said it's not overnight, because I
Mm.
want people to understand that you're not there to just say, okay, here's a checklist, check off this list, you're good to go. But you're actually working on something a little deeper than that, because not only is it going to help them in their company and expand their business and all of that, this is going to help their life
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah. All
Right?
of it.
Because it all right, because it's all like this, right? Some people think that business is business, life is life, and they're separated, but that's not true,
Mm.
because you're the same human in both circumstances, right? And it's like I was talking to someone who was like, oh, every relationship I get into, and the same denominator in every relationship is you, so we got to talk about that, right? um
Exactly.
but, but I
Yeah.
love that, Arnaud.
The,
Yeah.
the, the scoop is, in your life, in mine, whether I do business or I am with someone or with my kids, etc., it's always about I,
Yeah.
right? And that I may have multiple facets, but still
Right.
I.
Right.
So what if
Right.
we come to the bottom of the I and figure out who we really are?
Wow. That's powerful. That's so powerful. So before I like wrap this up, because I know my audience is like, all right, we want to work with Arnaud. All right, Arnaud, you're gonna have to give us all of your media handles, or wherever people can reach you and support you and work with you. Right.
Oh, that
So
would be amazing.
yeah.
Loving. I mean, it's super simple. You go to the website tapuat.com, tapuat.com. It's the Hopi name for eternal rebirth, which is the very
Oh,
purpose
okay.
of what we're doing. And the logo is a Hopi symbol as well. I'm super happy to be bearing these. And so tapuat.com, and there you can see the cruise, the who's sessions as well, and more will be coming. So join us in our
Amazing.
newsletter, and you'll get more and more information as we grow, and a lot of self help content along with my book that I published a year ago, and yeah.
Awesome. Yes. All right, Arnaud, you go. I love this. I love this. I love you. I love your energy. I love all of
I
it.
love your
So
energy too,
thank
Nina.
you. Thank you for being here and sharing all of this wisdom. Really, I love having conversations where we can impact people's mind, impact the way they think, maybe shift something a little bit. And this was one of those conversations. So thank you for being
Yay!
on Straight Talk. Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate you.
you.
Thank you. Guys, thank you guys so much for spending time with us. As you know, I bring you the best people on the planet. So today was Arnaud, and you guys got to go ahead and follow him. Please go onto his website. I'm going to make sure to link all of his information below so that you don't miss anything. Sign up for that newsletter because he has a bunch of stuff coming out, and make sure you pick up his book as well, because conversations like this are so valuable and things I carry with me for life. So thank you guys for being here. This is Neena Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.